Hi guys, welcome back to Ales Gaming TV, and this video is all about the Piercing Shot Stalker build. This is also requested by our viewers since this build is pretty unique and fun to play. So before we begin, I've seen that 94.5% of our viewers are still not subscribed to our channel, so please like and subscribe. This will really mean a lot to me and will help the YouTube algorithm suggest our videos to other Ragnarokoriginglobal players who need different guides for their journey. So enough chit chat and let's jump right into the video. Piercing Shot is one of several builds you can use for stalkers, but you can consider it one of the three main builds. Although this build falls behind the other two when it comes to DPS, Piercing Shot is still decent when trying to burst mobs that are a bit far away from each other, mostly when grinding. So first, let's talk about stats. For the stats, it's best to balance out your strength and dex since you need to pump more attack percentage as much as possible, because this skill doesn't scale with attack speed or crit. It also doesn't need any other stat aside from those two. So just put as many as you can in strength and dex, and then once you hit a higher level, you can put some in bit or int depending on your defensive needs or if you want to use the MOM armor set. Next will be weapon and armor. For the weapon, it's best to use obsidian crossbow blade since the plus 10 refinement effect will sync with your stats allocation, and it will give a huge amount of boost to your raw attack, which is essential for piercing shot build. You can also use holy crossbow if you're dealing with a demon race monster and need a little bit of holy damage coming from the radiant boost. For the armor set, it's best to use tier set since it gives a lot of physical attack increase that will help you deal more damage using piercing shot. However, the MOM armor set will still be a good option, but it is for a separate video to discuss. It's just that we still haven't tested all the possibilities on how to maximize this set. But if you have any ideas on how to, please share them in the comment section for us to help our fellow Ragnarokorigin players. Next will be skills. For the skills, it's exactly the same with the other two builds that we've already discussed. But I still want to remind you that you should max out the backstab skill since it is actually the piercing shot once you swap your weapon and use range stance. I will go through the skills right now for those who want to exactly copy the skill allocation. Alright, so next will be cards. For the weapon slot, it's best to use damage multiplier cards such as racial, size, or elemental. For me, those are the only cards that are recommended to use since you need a huge damage multiplier to insta-kill mobs. For the armor slot, you can use elemental armor cards if you're planning to use piercing shot on other PVE contents other than grinding for you to have a little bit of tankiness. But if you want to go all out DPS, then you can use Picky card or Rocker card if you're using Obsidian crossbow. For the cloak, we recommend using cards that give strength or dex such as Toad or Vagabond for more DPS, or you can use cards that can increase your elemental defense depending on the monster you're farming, such as Mars, Isis, Dustiness, Code, Miss, Orc Zombie, Jack, Marionette, or Raidrick. For the shoes, you can use cards that increase your SP recovery, such as Sekira, Sohi, or Merman. It's because using piercing shot consecutively drains a lot of SP. For the headwear slot, you can use Crump card for more physical attack. But I highly suggest you use Geart or the Verucci card to get more stats while having additional resistance to negative status. For the mouthwear, just use anything that is available for you like Angelic. And for the facewear, it's best to use a card that depends on what you're farming. For the backwear, you can focus on getting 2 pieces Deviling Puppet since it gives a good amount of PVE damage increase. And for the accessory slot, I suggest you use the Mantis or Zerum card for more strength and dex, GG card for more physical attack, or Raidrick Archer if you're dealing with shadow monsters. Alright, next will be Veer scores. For the basic skills, you can prioritize getting Bloodthirst for additional damage against enemies above 75% HP. Then you can also get Core Overload, Mana Length Boost, and Holy Light Shield for more damage. For advanced skills, the must-have is the Corrosive Arrow since this will give you an additional Ignore Defense stats when using Piercing Shot. Then you can use Malice to apply negative status and Corrosive Poison for straight-up damage increase when using Enchant Poison. Next will be Feathers. I will just say the same thing as my previous guides. At this point in the game, you should be using Raven's Hour since using it will give you a lot of Ignore Defense stats that are really needed by stalkers. You can use Sky, Day, Time, Space and Valor setup for your offensive feather since this gives the highest ignore defense stats. For the defensive feathers, it is up to you if you want to go glass cannon or want a little bit of defense. However, please keep in mind that it's best to use light feather that you can get by redeeming wager tokens since it can give a good amount of damage increase and raw physical attack. Don't forget to include the truth feather since it gives physical attack and damage increase as well. Alright, next will be statues and medals. This one is no brainer, just get anything you need for your own unique build aside from the stats that are related to magic, since that's the only thing you can't utilize. Just prioritize the things that will boost your DPS if you're a glass cannon, or defense if you want to be a little bit tanky. Defense will only be important when you're planning to use this build on other PVE contents aside from grinding. Next is Sigils. For the Sigils, we will focus on the things that will increase your burst damage. So I suggest using the ones that increase your burst DPS such as Starfall, Meteor, Megaton Bash, and Overpower. But if you want to use it on other PVE contents, then you can go in Pale, Starfall, Meteor, Chosen One, or Choice of Fate if you have a priest to sustain your HP. For the job specific sigil, I highly suggest that you use Ruthless just for the extra damage with up, since the additional crit chance of power concentration doesn't have any benefit to you. For the active sigil, I suggest you use Primal for more DPS. Just be sure to always check if someone already uses it since it doesn't stack and there's a 1-minute interval between each use in a party. Lastly, for the enchantment, it's best to use Sharp Battle and Duel for the costume and armor slots, then Fighting Spirit for weapons and accessories. Take note that the legendary bow will not work on Piercing Shot since crossbows are considered melee even in ranged stance. So that's it. I hope I was able to help you learn more about how to build a Piercing Shot Stalker for PvE. You can comment down below if you think I missed some information about our discussion or if you have any suggestions for what we should tackle next. Also, always remember to play this game at your own pace, never get burnout, and always have fun. Till next time, peace!